Hello, hello, Facebook. Give me one moment. I am looping in Pop Gospel Speaks Radio, and we will be getting started. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Speak Life Moment Show. I am your host, Sherry Jones. And as I said, we will be getting started momentarily, trying to loop in Pop Gospel Speaks Radio. Let me try again here. Okay. All righty, y'all. I don't know what's going on. It's not connecting. Okay. Well, we're going to just go ahead and hop on in because I don't want to hold you all. But typically, I am streaming live here, of course, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and Periscope, live every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time. And I'm so excited to be here with you all this evening. I see Evangelist Millie is on, and also Evangelist Tabitha. Thank you all so much for hopping in today. I don't know what's going on with Pop Gospel Speaks Radio, so I guess they're having some connection problems. I know they are in Chicago, and there has been some snow, so that might be what's going on. But we're going to go ahead and push on through, all right? I am Sherry Jones, and I am your Speak Life midwife, here to teach you how to speak life, love yourself, and impact the world so you can birth the greatness within. That's what I am here to do. I am here to push you. So I hope that you are having a wonderful day today. I hope that this has been a great President's Day. It's President's Day, so the mail didn't run today. It's a day, I guess, that we honor our presidents, our past presidents of the United States of America. I've never really known too much about President's Day. Just notice a day off. So if anybody knows the history of President's Day and can tell me a little bit more about it, please share in the comments. But happy President's Day. I see Nancy is on Instagram. Thank you so much, Nancy, for joining. All right, so today's topic, is if you have been watching this month, I have been talking about love. And I've been talking about different aspects of love. So the first week, we talked about agape love, which is the love that we have from God. Then last week, we talked about brotherly love, all of the wonderful love that we are to have for our fellow man. And then this week, we are talking about that family love, that love that we have from our families. So tonight's topic is family, faith, and love. Those are some heavy topics, right? Family, faith, and love. And what do those three things mean in your life? Family, faith, and love. I see, okay, Tabitha, you joined on Instagram, and I see John Pierre joining on Instagram as well. Thank you all so much for hopping on. Okay, and I see Evangelist David is on Facebook. Thank y'all so much for hopping on. So family, faith, and love. That is what we are talking about this evening. And so the first thing that I thought about when I thought about family, faith, and love, and I thought about how our family, our relationship with our family really shapes our perception of love. Our relationship with our family shows us what love looks like. It shows us whether we are worthy of love. It shapes how we feel about ourselves. So our families and how our families treat us shapes a lot about our lives, more than I think we realize. And as you're hopping on, I forgot to mention, please go ahead and share this broadcast as well, so other people can join this conversation. So the first thing I thought about was this scripture. And we know about it. It's one of our 10 commandments. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. Exodus 20 and 12. And that is from the English Standard Version. So the Bible is telling us in our commandments, one of the main commandments, that we are to honor our father and our mother. And it's also the first commandment that has a promise, because it promises us, if we honor our father and our mother, that our days will be long upon the land. And I thought about that. Well, yes, we are to honor our fathers and our mothers, but that's not easy for everybody, because there are people that do not have great relationships with their parents. There are people that don't know their parents. They might not know their mother, or they might not know their father, or they may just have not a relationship with that person. Our fathers and our mothers, when we don't have a good relationship with them. Maybe your parents didn't show you love in the way that they should have. Maybe they were abusive. Maybe they were dismissive. Maybe they didn't support you. How does that shape you? And how can you still honor this commandment of honor your father and your mother, even if you don't have that relationship? Now, for me, I had a great relationship with my parents. I was a daddy's girl. So I love my daddy. And I love my mother as well. But she and I did not always see eye to eye. We butted heads a lot. And a lot of it, I felt she just didn't understand me. She was trying to shelter me. She was trying to stop me from being great. As the people say nowadays, like, she just would not let me be great and do me. I mean, have you all felt like that? Especially, you on Instagram, have y'all felt like that? I see some comments here on Instagram. Just to Tabitha says, yes, you still honor them because you are being obedient to God. And then Mike Murphy, I see, is on Demon Headbuster. He says, that happened to me. Mother never showed me love like that. No hugs or kisses. Oh, wow. That was a blessing. And then he also says, even when they are foul and don't want to change. Yep. So sometimes our parents, they just don't want to change. They don't understand the impact of what they're doing. Then Mike also says, okay, so do we honor them even after they denounce the Lord? Oh, that's a good question. So Mike is asking a good question, y'all, on Instagram. He says, do we still honor our father and our mother after they denounce the Lord? So say we are believers and our parents are not. Are we to still honor them? Evangelist Tabitha said that we should honor our mother and our father because we are being obedient to God. So it has to do with our relationship with God more than it has to do with our relationship with our parents. So that's a good point. What are you all thinking about that on Facebook? Evangelist Millie, she gave us some background on President's Day. She said President's Day is that President George Washington's birthday is February 22nd, and President Lincoln, on the 12th. And that's Civic 101 when I was in school. Okay. Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you for the reminder of how why we have President's Day. Thank you so much for that. And so, so getting back to it, honoring our father and our mother, are we still going to honor them? Tabitha says sometimes we have to be the God example. Yep. So sometimes we have to be the God example even for our parents. So it seems like our parents are supposed to lead us, but sometimes we have to be the leaders and stand up and show them the example of the Lord. And Millie says, honor, regardless, God, we still says honor. Exactly. So that's why I brought this scripture up, because regardless, I agree, Evangelist Millie and Tabitha, and like I said, Mike made great point with when the parents are not in line. And when the parents, he said his mother didn't show him love. She didn't show him hugs. She didn't give him kisses. And so when you're like that, it can be very, very difficult to still honor your father and your mother. But God has commissioned us to do so. And so we must honor them, even if, I mean, just the bare minimum of honoring them because they brought us into this world. They were the vessel that God used to bring us into this world. And so we honored them for that. We honored them for their role in bringing us into this world, even if our relationship with them is not the best, even if they've made decisions that were not good and negatively impacted us, they are still our parents. And so that's how we have to look at it. We have to look at it as these are still my parents. I'm still going to love them. I'm still going to honor them despite their mistakes, despite their flaws. We have to look beyond that. Why? Because God looked beyond that for us. We have flaws. We've made mistakes. We've made errors. We haven't made great decisions, but God still loves us. And so in that same way, we must love our parents. I see, Nancy says, we don't get to choose what family we're born into. That is so true. That's true, y'all. Nancy just put it on the head. We do not get to choose what family we are born into. So because we don't have that choice, we have to accept the people that are our family. And we just have to roll with it, right? And still love them anyway. I see Mike on reference. He said Matthew 12:46-50. So why did he say this? Okay, so he's talking to Tabitha about honoring, the parents and how we have to do that despite who they are, what they do, and how they treat us. Just like we talked about before with the brotherly love. There are people in our lives that are just not going to honor us in the way that we should be honored. They're not going to treat us the way that we should be treated. But our part in it, our role in it, is to love them regardless. And that includes our parents, that includes our family members. Okay. So we got to still love them. We have to still honor them regardless. Honor your parents just for the fact that they brought you into this world. Honor your parents because they are who they are. They are your parents, even though they may not have done everything right by you. Okay. So that's the first point that I wanted to bring up about what family, faith, and love means. So just taking it back to the basics, we have to honor our father and our mother. And that relationship that we have with our parents is the very first experience that we have with love. And it shapes our entire lives. It really, really does. So then my next question is, okay, so Mike says, what is the difference between honor and love? Okay, so honoring someone is just showing that you're giving them reverence or honoring their position in your life and honoring them for who they are. Love is a little deeper because loving someone means that, as the word tells us, God is love. So when you love someone, that means you care for them and you have love for them. And we are supposed to love everybody as Christ loves us. So because Christ loves us, we are to have that love for everybody. But when we're honoring, it's just respecting and reverencing that position that that person holds in our lives. Does that make sense, Mike? Okay, he said he agrees. He agrees. Then Millie also says, I honor my parents even before I was saved, and my salvation caused my mother to be saved. And she said her father passed when she was 7. Right. So that's good, Evangelist Millie. So basically, her parents, she honored her parents even before she was saved, even before she knew the Lord, even though before she knew who God was. But it was her salvation that caused her mother to be saved. And that's what I was saying before. Sometimes sometimes the children lead the parents. So never, don't count your parents out just because, you're saved and they're not doing things the way that they're supposed to do it. You still have to honor and respect them. And then you can set that example to draw them to Christ. So sometimes the children can lead the parents. The children can definitely lead the parents. And so then my next point is, what has family taught you about love? Okay, so we've talked about the very bare minimum with our parents. We have to honor them, we have to respect them, we have to love them. And our relationship with them teaches us about love, but also our relationship with other family members, our relationship with our siblings, with our aunts, our uncles, our cousins. All of those things teach us about love. So you all in the comments, let me know, what has your family taught you about love? I'll say that my family taught me that the perception I had of love when I was little was that I received love, I received accolades for doing well. It wasn't something that I got just because, it was something that I had to earn. Especially when I was in school. Now, of course, probably when I was younger, when I was a baby, I automatically, got to love. Everybody loves babies when I was little and everything like that. But a lot of it, I felt like, and in hindsight, I don't think my mom just loved me when I did well in school, but it was because she was an educator and it was a lot of pressure on doing well in school. It was a lot of pressure on just doing well in general. That's how I felt that I had to earn love, by making good grades, by doing good in school, by completing my projects, all those kind of things was the measure of approval that I received. So for me, it was teaching me that love was based on action, that it was based on my action. How I received love, how I was treated was based on my actions. It wasn't something that was automatically given to me. So what has your family taught you about love? What lessons did you learn? Let's see what Mike. Okay, look like Mike and Tabitha are having some heated discussion here on Instagram. But then also Tabitha says, I've learned to love more and truly to love with the love of Christ. That's good. Nancy says to love at all times. So her family taught her to love at all times. That's really good. That is really good, Nancy. That your parents taught, or your family taught you that. And then Tabitha says she's learned that true love from Christ, that love from Christ. And I can say my love that I have now with my immediate family, like with my husband and my son and my bonus daughters, what that has taught me though is the exact opposite. That no matter what I do, no matter whether I do well or don't do well, or whether I make a mistake or what have you, that love is still there for me. And that's what my husband and my children have taught me, that unconditional love. Because when they look at me and they're, like excited to see me, they love me just for who I am, then that lets me know that love is truly unconditional. And definitely, I've learned through Christ, I've learned through my relationship with Jesus, that love is unconditional because he gives his love freely. He is love, and he gives his love to me no matter what mistakes I've made, no matter who I am, no matter what I've done in my past, what I'm going to do in my future, because we all make mistakes, we all fall short. But no matter about any of that, he still loves me. And so that's really what I have definitely learned about love recently. Okay. And so that's one thing that I want us to just think about. What has your family taught you about love? When you think about those lessons that you learned as a child about love, and were those lessons good or were they bad? Were they and how did those lessons impact you in your life? How did it set you up for your life? For me, I can say, having so much focus on how well I performed in school and different things like that. Then when I went to college and I wasn't able to perform as well, well, I'm gonna say I wasn't able to. I didn't do what I was supposed to do because I kind of, was fancy free and my focus wasn't on the academics and things like that. Then I felt a shift. I felt like I wasn't accepted as much. I felt like the love wasn't there as much because I was making mistakes and I wasn't as focused in school and I wasn't achieving as much as I should have. And so that really taught me to be more goal oriented and more focused and to put my validation in those types of things. But as I, grew in my relationship with Christ, I knew that that was not the case, that love was not something that I needed to earn for some check off list or I had to do X amount of things, that love was freely given. And that's how it should be. Okay. So think about that. Think about what your family has taught you about love. Then the next point I wanted to make was that dysfunctional family dynamics can lead to dysfunctional living. Okay? Dysfunctional family dynamics can lead to dysfunctional living. Why my thing's not clicking? So, if you had dysfunctional dynamics in your family life, then most likely your life is going to be dysfunctional because you're a product of your environment. You're a product of the things that you learned. So if your, say for example, your parents, one of your parents was like passive aggressive, they would say little stuff, but then not and mean it in a rude way, but would try to say it in a nice, nasty way, all of that kind of stuff, you're probably going to do the same thing. And you're going to think that that's okay. You're going to think that that's normal. And so when you grow up, you're going to be passive aggressive too. That's just kind of how it works. If your family teased each other a lot, but they were hurtful things, they said hurtful things to each other, then you're going to think that that's how everybody acts. And so when you get into relationships with people, you're going to say mean and hurtful things. But then the opposite, if your family was very loving and very kind, and was God fearing and had certain morals and values, then most likely you're going to have those same values too. So living is definitely dysfunctional family life is definitely going to lead to dysfunctional living. I see Evangelist Millie says, due to family, I learned that I can love and show love. Let's see, hold on, I'm going to pull her comment up here so everyone can see it. She says, due to family, I learned that I can love and show love without expecting always to receive it back because of Jesus loves me even before I was created. That is so true. That is so true. That's good, Evangelist Millie. That is good that they taught you that. So you can love and show love without expecting to always receive it back. That's an excellent lesson. That's an excellent lesson to know, because that is the case a lot of times. We show love, we give, and we don't always get it back. But that doesn't mean that you don't show that love. You still show that love. Okay. I see Tabitha says amen to that. So yes, but back with, we were saying the dysfunctional family dynamics lead to dysfunctional living. So we have to be mindful as well of the dysfunctional things that went on in our childhood. Because when we were children, that was normal. It wasn't dysfunctional. We didn't consider it dysfunctional. But as you get older and you live life and you learn, as they say, once you know better, you do better. So as you live and you learn and you do better, then you realize that what you experienced was actually dysfunctional. And as you realize that what you experienced was dysfunctional, then you know that you can make a change. You don't have to let it lead to this dysfunctional living. Okay. And then my fourth point that I wanted to make here is that you can choose a different path and still love your family. That part. Now, sometimes families don't think that because they want you to live how they want you to live. They want you to do what they want you to do. And that's not always the path that God has for you. So, say everybody in your family are preachers, for example. Your grandfather was a preacher, your father was a preacher. And so now it's expected that you're going to be a preacher. But if God didn't call you, don't you dare be a preacher. God didn't call you to preach. Just because your grandfather and your father were preachers and they expect that you, do it too and take over the church or whatever it is that they want you to do, don't you do it. Do not do it because you will be held accountable for that. And so it's okay if you are not called to preach and instead you're called to be a doctor or a lawyer or a carpenter or a business owner or anything. It's okay. You do not have to follow the path that your family has laid out for you. You don't have to do what they expect you to do. And you can still love them. You can still love them and show them love, even when they don't accept you for the choices that you're making. Even when they get upset and they're like, no, we've groomed you all this time. You took dance lessons. Say you took dance lessons all your childhood. And so the expectation was you were going to go to school for dance. You were going to become this big time dancer. Or maybe they expected you to get into Juilliard and you were going to do all this stuff. But then the older you get, maybe by the time you get out of high school or you're in high school, you realize that you don't want to make dance a career. That dance was something great for you, but it's not something that you want to pursue. And you feel that the Lord is showing you that he wants you to be a teacher or he wants you to do something else. It's okay. Don't let your family bully you into doing something that you know you're not called to do and walking in a career that is not for you because they'll do it. They will do it. You can choose a different path. I see here just some comments here on Instagram to let you all know here. Tabitha says, we have to be about our Father's business in every area of our lives. And then she also says, when we're doing the will of the Lord, family and friends may not understand, but they'll be okay. We should please God, not man. Exactly. Exactly. That is so true, Tabitha. Thank you so much for that. Exactly. Exactly. So our family and friends may not understand. They may not understand your path, as Tabitha said. They're not going to understand the choices that you're making, especially if you're walking in the will of God and what God has called you to do is different. It's just something way out the box, different than what your family is used to. Then they're going to look at you like you're crazy. They're going to be like, what are you doing? This is different. I've never heard of this. But as long as you know that you've heard the voice of God and you are pleasing him, that's what's most important. As Tabitha said, we please God, not man. Okay. So that was that one point. I just want everybody to know that it's okay to walk in your own path. You do not have to walk in the path that your family thinks you're supposed to have. And when you don't walk in that path, it does not mean that you don't love your family. And sometimes that's hard for them to understand. But you just have to make sure that you show them and you tell them, I still love you, mom. I still love you, dad. I still love you, sister. But God just has me on a different path. And, I have to blaze this trail that he has me on, not, what you think I'm supposed to do. And if it's what God is calling you to do, you will flourish in that area and eventually your family will come around. But if they never come around, as long as you know you're doing what God has called you to do, then you're okay. Okay. Then my last point that I wanted to share with you all is that we must be intentional about showing love to our family. We talk about being intentional about different things. We have to be intentional about our goals. We have to be intentional about, um, you know, working out. We have to be intentional about all kinds of different things. But we have to also be intentional about showing love for our family. What does that look like? It can look different for every person. Showing that you love your family, being intentional is maybe setting aside that time to spend with them. It doesn't always have to be big gifts or taking them somewhere or doing something like that, especially now with COVID. We can't really do all that anyway. But just spending time. Even if you have multiple children, and some people feel differently about this, but if you have multiple children, being intentional about spending time with each one of them. You spend time with all of your children together, but also be intentional about, one of your children may like, have a favorite movie. And so you say, Friday night, you and we're going to watch a movie together. Or, another one of your kids may like you for you to read them a certain story. So you say, Tuesday night, I'm going to read this story to you. Have that time that you have with just you and that child so y'all can bond and have a relationship, not just all of the children together. And so, like I said, I've ran into some people that disagree with that and say, no, you should just spend time with all the children together. But I think it's important to have individual relationships because everybody is different. And so you should have individual relationships with each of them, especially, with your spouse. Make sure that you're setting aside that time to be intentional about spending time with your spouse. Have a date night. And then you don't have to go out. It could be a stay in date night, you know, but just spending that quality time together. Spend that quality time with your siblings. Call them on the phone if you can't, go visit them. Be intentional about checking in on them. And just be intentional about with your aunts, your uncles, whoever is in your family. Be intentional about showing that love. Tabitha says, yes, amen. Be intentional. Nancy says, yes, quality time. Tabitha says, it's the small things. And I agree. It's the individual quality time that truly matters and you remember. Exactly. Exactly. That's what your children are going to remember when they're grown. You know, me and mommy watching a show together, eating some popcorn. They may not remember all the big gifts you got them or whatever you did, but knowing that you took that time to spend that individual time with them is going to be so, so valuable. Okay. So we have to be intentional about showing love to our family. Okay. And I see Millie made a comment here. Let's see. She says, that's definitely true. 8 of my siblings were older and 2 younger. So I had examples on both sides, but I realized that God has set me apart from them all. Okay. Okay. So she's talking about with the having your own path and doing your own thing. And so she had 8 siblings, but she's different and she's set apart. And what she's doing is totally different from what the rest of them are doing. And that's okay. She still loves them and she still has that relationship with them. And so that is very, very important. I see Tab that says, yes, my mom and I still watch shows together virtually. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. So even though they can't be together, they still watch shows together virtually and spend that quality time together. So that's what we have to do. We have to be intentional about showing our families love. And this technology has really made it really good and really easy for us because we have the Zoom and we have FaceTime or Duo or whatever, so you can do video chat or you can just call. We can always have those time to connect. And Millie says, yes, growing up, my mom said she knew her mother and father loved them, but didn't show it. So she made sure her kids knew she loved us verbally and physically with hugs and kisses. Oh, that is so good. That is so good. And yeah, and that is one thing too, that we can learn from the lessons that we learned from our family as far as what love meant, or the lessons they taught us about love. If it wasn't good lessons, we can flip that around and change it for our children or our nieces and our nephews and other people in our life. We can change the narrative. So as Millie said, her mother didn't feel that love from her parents as far as the hugs and the kisses and all that kind of stuff. They didn't really show it. She knew they loved them, but they didn't really show it. So she did the opposite for her children and made sure that she showed them. And that's what we can all do. That is definitely something that we can all do and be intentional. So I hope that you all enjoyed this conversation that we've had today. This has been a great conversation. I appreciate you all being engaged with it and giving your comments, talking about family, faith, and love. And we could probably talk some more all day long about this topic, because I mean, it's just a great topic, and it's something that we really need to think about. And so just recapping what we talked about today, we talked about Exodus 20 and 12. Look at that scripture in one of the 10 commandments: honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long on the land. So we want to remember to honor our father and our mother, no matter who they are, no matter what mistakes they've made, no matter what their flaws are. We are to still honor them. That is what we are commanded to do. Secondly, we talked about what has your family taught you about love. Take that time and think about that. Think about it this evening or in the morning or whenever you get time, when you're meditating or you're journaling. Take the time and write about that. Write a journal entry or write down some bullet points about what your family has taught you about love, the good and the bad, and really look at those lessons and dissect them and determine if there's any ways that how those lessons have impacted your life and how you can make changes. Thirdly, we talked about dysfunctional family dynamics can lead to dysfunctional living. And that is so true. So if your family was dysfunctional, most likely your life is going to be dysfunctional too. But you can make the choice to change. You can make the choice to do different. So just like when they talk about generational curses can be broken with a choice. It all takes a choice. You have to decide that you want different. And once you make that decision that you want different and you do the work, then you can break that dysfunction and those generational curses. Then we talked about that you can choose a different path and still love your family. So just because your path is different from your family's path, is different from what they expected of you, is different from what they wanted from you. As long as you know that God is directing your path, you have to heed his way, not your family's way. But you can still love them and still show them love and maybe help them to understand the choice that you're making and how God is leading you. And then lastly, be intentional about showing love to your family. We must be intentional. Take that time with your family, especially now, y'all, with COVID and everything that's going on. Life is short. And so we definitely want to be intentional about that. Okay, so just looking at any other comments, Millie says that's how she did her three sons, and even now they remember it. Exactly. They remember that we are, when you are being intentional about showing that love, they remember. They are going to remember. They might be 40 and 50 years old, and they're going to remember, well, mama did this, me and mama did that, me and daddy did this. They're going to remember. And so you're building memories when you are intentional like that. You're building memories with your spouse. You're building memories with your children, with your siblings, with your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. You're building memories. And that is what's most precious. Okay. And that's what you're going to remember. When someone is gone, you're going to hold on to those memories. And then I see Evangelist Tabitha says, great conversation. I love you, sis. To Sherry and all of your audience. Oh, well, thank you, Tabitha. So Tabitha says she loves y'all. She loves me and she loves all of y'all. And I love you too, sis. And I appreciate my Instagram audience, Nancy and Tabitha and Mike. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I appreciate the comments on Facebook, Evangelist Millie, Evangelist David. Thank y'all for tuning in as well. So this was the Speak Life Moment show this evening. I hope that you enjoyed it. Again, I am Sherry Jones, your host. I am your Speak Life midwife, here to teach you how to speak life, love yourself, and impact the world so you can birth the greatness within. If you are on Facebook and YouTube, you and Periscope, there is a link in the description of the video where you can click and you can get your Speak Life checklist. I give you 7 ways that you can start speaking life in your life. And you'll also join the Sherry Speaks Life community, where I send you inspirational messages straight to your inbox. And if you are on Instagram, you can just click the link in my bio for that same information. Go to my website, sherryspeakslife.com, to learn all about me. And you can also join that community and get your checklist on the website as well. But you all take care. You all be blessed. And I will be back with you next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Time. And we will be ending our series on love. And we will be talking about that romantic love. I know y'all be ready for that. Y'all be ready for talking about that romantic love. But that's what we are going to talk about next week, that romantic love with your significant other and how we can speak life in that relationship. Well, you all take care. You all be blessed. I'm going to sign off on Instagram first. Love y'all. Talk to y'all later. See you next week. All right, Facebook. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you all next week as well. If you haven't already, please go ahead and share this broadcast. Sharing is caring. Love y'all. Bye-bye.